Hi, we are Storyhouse Young Company, and today we are going to be doing a panel discussion with Kerry, who's from Ancora House.
Ancora House School is the organisation I work for, and we're over 2 sites. So we have a hospital site, which is at the Countess, and that's part of the mental health Tier 4 unit. And then we have the Learning Hub, which is currently in Blacon, and that's for Cheshire West young people that aren't in mainstream schools between year 7 and 11. And we have a small cohort of young people that come and have their education with us.
Yeah, so we're just going to be asking a few questions.
Okay, so question number 1 is, how do you keep your brains active, and what are the things that you do?
Okay, so when the questions were sent over, I thought, do you want me to respond as me, or do you want me to respond as what I would give advice to my students? And then I thought, actually, the two are the same things, really, because I tend to go on what I've experienced and what I feel, and sort of point in that direction. So I think in order to keep your brain active, routine is really important, whatever that looks like. Keeping some sort of routine going throughout the lockdown and in general for your mental well-being is really, really important. Having a purpose and a bit of routine is really, really central to mental health and well-being. Doing something that you enjoy, whatever that might be. So don't let other people tell you what you should be doing to keep your brain active. Do something you enjoy. You're more likely to persevere with it and get on with it if you do something that you enjoy. And also maybe stepping a little bit outside your comfort zone and learning a new skill. So we've been using Google Classroom a lot since the lockdown, and so a lot of the things I've been posting up have been, careers related, but also like crafts and that sort of thing, and maybe having a look at some YouTube videos. I know some people have been teaching themselves to cook and play an instrument or anything really. So they're my sort of top things, really.
I can definitely agree with that as well. Like, some things that I've been doing to keep my brain active is learn an instrument. That's a new one for me. I started learning the guitar. Find that really fun. I've been working out a lot and keeping that in a routine, as you've just said. So I work out 4 days a week. And then 3 days a week, I just go for a walk or do some active. Listening to music quite a lot. That keeps my brain active.
Yeah, I think it's very personal for each different person, how it works for them. I think the main thing, like you said, is keeping a routine and keeping doing the things. I know it's so easy to just scroll through my phone for hours on end, but then after I feel awful. So I like doing things such as cooking, baking, drawing, painting, literally anything to just take me away from electronics and actually do something different. Going out for a walk, doing a workout, getting some exercise in, just anything a bit different. But
yeah, I agree. I think doing something physical is a lot better than just watching TV or watching a film. I find if I watch a film, thoughts still come into my head that I can't ignore. So even if I want to watch a film, I'll get something I can do at the same time. I'll watch a film whilst doing a puzzle, or watch a film whilst knitting, just so I can fully block out any thoughts I might be having. And I find that it just keeps my brain more active than if I just sat and watched something.
What 3 things do you do for self-care?
Okay, mine are probably pretty boring. Being a 40-year-old mother of 3 and working at the same time, they're probably not great. But my 3 things are, I like to have a soak in a bath. So when my children go to bed, I like to have a soak, because I'm a proper shower person. So I get up in the morning to wake me up and have a shower. But I love a lush bath bomb and a soak in the bath. I love going for a walk with my dog. And it sounds a bit bizarre, but I quite like walking in the rain. I find that really, really helps, just clears my head. And I've always liked that since I was a child. So that's, something that if it's raining and I just need to go out and walk in the rain, I think it's great. It just I don't know, helps me to just clear my head. And I also love listening to music. Probably have a very different music type to you guys. I like a bit of Take That, and I'm a bit embarrassing to my own teenage daughter when I'm jiving around and singing. But yeah, music's really good for me, and I like lots of different music.
I think my top 3 things would be the same, going for a walk with my dog. I think during lockdown, everyone's feeling a bit trapped in their own houses. So even going up for half an hour walk is just clears your head. And I find if I go with like my mum, we have better chats outside doing a walk than we do inside. So it's quite nice for me to just get out everything. Another thing is probably, listening to music at the same time as doing art or something. I find when I do art, it takes my mind off everything. It lets me express stuff, and I find it does help me after I've finished. And music playing at the same time just gets you in that zone where you can just kind of relax for a bit. And then last would probably be just staying off my phone. I think that's the biggest self-care thing I think I can do.
I'd say that some of mine are definitely being around my family and spending time with my mum. It makes me feel so happy when I'm around my mum, so it's one thing I like doing. I am going to agree with Kerry on what she said firsthand. I like going on walks in the rain. I love the rain. I go jogging in the rain as well. It just makes me feel so much more energized after I've done like an hour jog, and I feel healthier in who I am after it as well. So that's what I like doing. I do like writing as well. So I've been doing quite a lot of writing lately. That just calms me, and I can get all of my imagination out onto paper.
For me, the first thing would definitely be exercise, just any type, even if it's just going for a walk or actually doing like a proper workout. And I think definitely also doing that with someone else, say if it's like my mum or a friend, so it just makes it so much more fun having someone with you doing it. The second thing would probably be just playing music really loud and like having a dance in my room on my own. Sometimes it's just good to just feel good and just have a bit of fun and be a bit silly. And then the last thing would probably be maybe journaling. Completely blank. I do journaling a lot. I like to just write all my thoughts down, and I do bullet journaling as well because I like decorating and doodling and stuff. So yeah, that's probably it.
Is it okay to switch off sometimes?
I'd say absolutely. I'd say if you can switch off sometimes, then go for it. I mean, I don't mean completely shut yourself off for too long, because I don't think being alone on your own with your thoughts for too long is good. But if you are the sort of person that can sit and switch off completely, I think sometimes we forget how much our mental health and our brain needs time to rest as much as we do when we sleep and we physically rest our bodies. I think switching off a little bit is actually really, really healthy. But like I say, not for too long. So I don't mean go and sit and lock yourself away. Don't speak to anyone, keep yourself isolated, because I think if you're too long on your own, just alone with your thoughts. But I mean, I say absolutely. I'm not great at switching off. I'll be honest with you. So it's one of those things that I tell people to try and do, and I don't find it particularly easy myself. Whenever I try and relax, I'm always thinking, oh, there's something else I could be doing, or there's something. But if you can do it, I'm a strong believer that you should and shouldn't feel guilty about switching off and just putting yourself first sometimes.
I completely agree with you on that one, because with me being really active as well, I'm constantly active and constantly wanting to do something, and I'm like, oh, I can do that, and then I'm like, oh, I haven't done that in a while, let's go do that. Or I'll get up in the morning, I've got nothing to do, I'll just go out and go for a walk, and just see where my legs take me. So for me, shutting off used to just be getting home at the end of the day and going to bed. Now, because of the fact that there's been lockdown and everything, I've actually found the time to say, right, you do need to shut off, go and relax and sit down, maybe just like watch a film or just like sit there. I've tried meditating a couple of times. Didn't go well, but I tried it. But yeah, just like chilling out and relaxing and taking yourself out of like the craziness and the busyness it's really good to do.
Yeah, I agree. I've also like loads of people talk about like meditation stuff, and I've tried it, but like I'm a very like fidgety person. I can't completely like switch my brain off like that. So what I would do instead to switch off is just like read a book or like have a bath and like have like some background music or film in the background or something like that, and that just helps me kind of focus on something, but at the same time just only focus on that and just like not anything else.
I think I'm a bit of a perfectionist, so I think everything I do, I always want it to be like the most extreme and the most like highest level. So at the start of lockdown, I made a really in-depth timetable of what I wanted to do every day with activities and stuff. And at the start, I followed it, but I think you can quickly become burnt out. Even if I'm doing 5 activities a day that I really enjoy, it can get overwhelming. So like last week, I just took a week off from doing anything, and I kind of just had a chill and didn't pressure myself to think, oh, at 1 o'clock I got to go on and run and start this and then do the same thing tomorrow. So I think planning can be good if like it's done healthily, but I think even just not making a plan for a day and just seeing what happens and deciding to sleep in or talk to a friend over like Zoom or just listen to music, have a bath. I think not having such a rigid structure is a good way to just let your brain switch off a bit.
How can we make sure that others around us are looking after themselves?
And when I read this question, I had a good think about it. I think the most important thing that you can be to others is to be kind and to check in with people. If I'm honest, I've done a lot of that. So my role as an education transitions worker is usually going out to a lot of colleges and supporting people at the Young Leaders Programme, and a lot of it is one-to-one, out and about, and I haven't been able to do that with the lockdown. But I have done a lot of phone calls and a lot of texting, and I've kept in touch with family as well as these students that I support. But I think what's important is being kind and checking in with people, but also thinking about yourself and realizing you can't solve everything. You can't make everything perfect for everybody else. So it's about being there for people and being kind and being thoughtful, but not putting yourself under too much pressure to try and make everything perfect for other people. And also, I suppose in that is the fact that what you as a person might need and might think they need isn't always the same, because everybody's individual. So I think it's just about being there. I know that's been really valued from my family, but also from the students that I've worked with.
I think it needs to be a two-way kind of stream of communication. It's good to listen to your friends' issues and how they're doing and give them advice, but equally you don't want to if you're struggling already, you don't want to be taking on even more and worrying about them. I think first you should worry about your own mental health, but to make sure that someone else is okay. I think social media is good, but I don't think it's as good as saying let's just meet for coffee and sit in the park. And I think talking to someone in person, and even they might be feeling lonely and be too nervous to ask someone to go and meet them, even just getting them out of the house and sitting down, and you can probably tell if they're kind of struggling to say something. I think a conversation in person is a lot more effective than a conversation over social media.
Agree with you, Mia. I often find myself, like, I find it quite hard to reach out to other people. So I find that people should definitely try and reach out more to those around them and try and, like, definitely meet up with them in person and talk things through and stuff.
Definitely reaching out to people, even if, like, you haven't spoken to them in, like, a couple of months. Just, like, pop up and say hi.
What can we do to look after ourselves after lockdown's ended?
something that I've been talking and trying to tell myself this as well, but also talking to the young people that I work with, is taking small steps, and don't be alarmed if you do feel anxious when you go back out and you are starting to do the things that you used to do. Don't be hard on yourself and your own mental health that everything's going to go back as quickly as we went into lockdown, because it probably won't. It will probably take some time to get used to being back in the situations that you were in every day prior to lockdown. And I think it's about not putting pressure on yourself that you've got to return to everything. I think some of the lockdown has probably made people realise that some of the things that they were involved in, or some of the activities they used to do, were probably for other people and not for themselves. And I think it's worthwhile sort of taking stock about looking after yourself and doing the things that you get something out of for yourself, and just taking those small steps. And if you need support from anyone that you work with, either at school or part-time jobs or Storyhouse or anything like that, people are there to help you make those steps, and to make it as supportive as possible. So I would say reach out to people, and don't have too high expectation of yourselves in terms of getting back to where you were. Take small steps, and if you need to take a step back before you can go forward again, then just do that, and give yourself time to settle back into it. People are going to be anxious, some people more than others, about going back to things that they used to do, and so I suppose the other thing is to be mindful that not everybody will be able to go back at the same speed to what they used to do as other people. So yeah, it's just I think, you know, again, I'm not great myself, so I give this advice, but I have to take stock myself and sort of think, actually taking small steps and just, you know, realizing that it's okay to go at a bit of a slower pace until you feel comfortable back in the situations you were in.
A lot of pressure to come out of lockdown being this, like, a new person that's kind of working out every day and eating healthily and has got all these different talents and like activities that they've picked up. And actually I think it is a hard situation, and I think this is a time when we should be forgiving of most people. Like, we should be letting people have a break, and we should be letting people come out of lockdown different people, but not expecting them to be like this ideal that for some reason has been set out. So I think I face a lot of anxiety after lockdown ends. Like, every time they ease it, I think I get a bit nervous because I'm expecting my friends to think like of that. And I saw one friend first, and then the next time we met in a big circle on a race course with like I think about 6 of us. And even that one step was really overwhelming, and constantly I couldn't even focus on what was going on, because I was thinking like, do they think I look different? Do they think that I've changed? Do they think that am I being too quiet, and all this kind of stuff? So I think, yeah, I agree with everyone else that baby steps is the biggest thing. It's not going to be normal when we get out of it, so we shouldn't expect people to go back to being normal.
What do you feel are the most underrated self-care ideas?
I think laughter is really, really underrated. I think watching a good film, or listening to your favourite comedian, or whatever it is that makes you laugh. We've all got very different senses of humour, so I'm not going to go through the whole list of it, but I think a good laugh and a good giggle, and sometimes you might laugh in the wrong places, but actually if you're not hurting anyone and it makes you feel better, I know that if I have a good laugh, it makes me feel lots better. I think it's really, really underrated, as well as a little bit of sunshine and opening the curtains, even if you don't feel like going outside. Obviously some people didn't have gardens and stuff to go out in at the beginning, and they could only go out for one exercise a day, but even opening your window and sitting in the sunlight, because I think vitamin D is very underrated, and I think we don't, I know a lot of the students and stuff that I work with in this role, and when I work for a mental health charity, quite often if you're struggling with your mental health, stay indoors, you don't go out, and we've all kind of had to do that recently, and I do think we probably are all missing a little bit of sunshine. So my top things are letting a bit of sunshine on your skin, whether you feel comfortable going out in it or just sitting in your window, watching a funny film and having a good laugh, I think.
I think when I think of self-care, people immediately think of kind of baths and face masks and meditation. And whilst that can help relax you and does work for people, I think an underrated one is just getting outside in whatever way you can. Like if you've got a garden, do some gardening, like plant something. That's a great thing. You see something grow in front of you, you have to take care of something. If you haven't got a garden, opening a window, just like sitting for a few minutes in front of a window, going for a walk, however long or short, is a great way to just give yourself a break from other people and like your phone and stuff. Or even just going for a drive with music on. I think just getting outside, however that may be, I think is quite underrated.
Like one of the most underrated self-care things is just being present in the moment. I find a lot of the times these days I'm constantly multitasking or doing multiple things at once. Even if I'm just watching a film, I'll be on my phone scrolling through social media at the same time. Or if I'm like, we're talking to actually talk, I find like when I meet up with my friends, a lot of the time you'll be talking to them, but they'll also be on their phones, like scrolling through social media and things like that. And I think it's really important to just be present in the moment, like put away electronics, put away any distractions, and really just see what you're doing, listen to the people around you, really focus on the film you're watching or the book you're reading or the environment you're in if you're walking outside, and just really take it in and just enjoy it.
I dance around my flat. I sing a lot, even though I might not be able to sing as well as I think I can. But yeah, focusing on yourself is a biggie.
What new things have you done during lockdown that you'll keep doing afterwards?
I don't want to carry on with, i.e. homeschooling. I'm working full time from home. I think actually like spending meal times together has been quite nice, because usually we are a very busy family and we're at some sort of like somebody's at some club or I'm working late, and so we tend to, like, my little ones might have tea at my mum's and then come home, and then we don't eat till late. But we've all been sort of, when my husband's got home from work, we've all been sat down and eating our meal together, which has been nice. And also appreciating the things that really, really do matter to me, because I think sometimes we do forget, so like I didn't go for a cup of tea to my mum's for 4 months, and the first time I went was on Saturday when the rules changed, and it was the nicest cup of tea I've had ever, probably, because I really missed company. And I think, yeah, just appreciating the small things, and I hope that I can carry on with that.
Things I'm going to continue doing most of all is actually talking to my family a lot more. It's strange, since we've been in lockdown, we've had probably more Zoom calls than I have phone, like, or text them in the like ages. And it's strange, like this has actually brought us together. Like my family's spread out all over like the world and the country, so it's hard to like meet up lots of times, but like it's actually forced us to like have big family Zoom calls and actually like talk a lot more, which is I really hope we continue to do. And also I think I want to try and make myself have less of a strict schedule. Before I would literally plan my days out so much, and I'd like have everything down to tree, and I make myself do loads of work and everything. And lockdowns really helped me find like a balance between like working but also relaxing and doing fun creative things. So I think I want to continue like being less strict and just going with the flow.
Yeah, I could agree with that. I think one thing I'm going to carry with me after lockdown is definitely spending a whole lot more time with family. Me and my mum have been doing like loads of gardening and like decorating the house, and she introduced me to like a load of bands that I haven't ever heard of from when she was like my age. We were both singing in the kitchen, and like it's like one of the best things ever. So I'm definitely going to carry on doing that with my mum and seeing my family a whole lot more.
Like I said before, I started planning every single tiny little thing I was going to do in a day, rather than waking up and thinking, okay, what do I want to do today? What do I feel like doing? I think that's something that I'm going to take from this time. I think we're lucky to have this time. I don't know if we'll have this amount of time again. So I think trying to find out, trying to work on yourself and trying to like forgive yourself for doing things, because everyone's having blips, everyone is like having ups and downs. I think my lockdown started well, and then it went not as well, and then I kind of beat myself up about it a bit. So I think the main thing that I'm probably going to take on is just allowing yourself to make mistakes, and doing things intuitively, and doing things that you want to do. Even if you've told yourself, today I'm going to do this, you might think, actually I don't really want to do that today, I want to do this, and like going with the thing you'll enjoy more.
Tell us what you think the stereotypes of self-care are.
Yeah, I think the stereotypes are that we should all like the same things. I think we've mentioned quite a lot that you hear all this about self-care, and it's got to be either physical exercise or yoga or meditation, so I think the stereotype is that it's a one size fits all, and actually, as we've realized having this conversation, we're all individual, and self-care is something different for each and every one of us. And I think it's okay to share ideas about what might work for other people, but it's about realizing actually it doesn't. So I tried yoga once, and I just giggled the whole way through and spoilt it for everybody else that was doing it, because I just couldn't do it. And then I used to deliver, as part of my old job, I delivered a confidence course, and part of that was meditation. We used to have to listen to this CD, and I used to have to leave another member of staff and go out, because I used to get the giggles, and it was just like, it's not for me, and I'm not very good at delivering this sort of thing. So yeah, I think the stereotype is that we assume that self-care has got to be a certain thing, and it's going to work for everyone. And I think we're all individual, and self-care can mean exactly what makes you feel better as an individual.
A lot of things people have always been talking about is mindfulness. I think that's quite a big stereotype for self-care, and yeah, it does help people, but I personally found every time I tried it, I couldn't get my brain in that kind of zone. So I think, yeah, this main stereotype, like you said, is thinking it's this kind of spiritual kind of thing. Well, it can just be, if your form of self-care is sitting and drawing a picture, then that is your form of self-care, and it will be different for every single person.
Was about a time when you compared your self-care routine to someone else?
I've struggled with this one a little bit, because I don't really, I've probably only really thought about self-care for myself over the last few months, because I am, like I say, I'm a mom, and I tend to, everything that I do is looking after other people, and the job that I do is about supporting other people. And so I think this has been an opportunity to think about myself a little bit more. I know I've compared myself to, not necessarily with self-care, but I've compared myself of, am I doing this right? Am I doing that right? I'm not the perfect parent because I don't get the arts and crafts out all the time, or all of those sorts of things. But again, I think a lot of young people do compare themselves with self-care. And Mia mentioned mindfulness, and actually mindfulness can be a great tool, but some of the students, when you say the word mindfulness, they think they've all got to do colouring, and it's like, no, it's not about that, because actually some people get really frustrated trying to do colouring or do a jigsaw puzzle. We had some students at the hub a couple of years ago, and they all love doing jigsaws, and yet this year nobody likes doing jigsaws. They get really frustrated, and so I think compare, it's like anything else, don't compare yourself. Your self-care is what's good for you, and I think we are all guilty of comparing ourselves and thinking, oh, I should be doing this, or I should be doing that, or I could be better at this, or I could be better at that. And I think if lockdown's given us something, it is that bit of time to think about ourselves and what's important. And if any advice that I could sort of give to any of you guys is to just don't compare yourself to others. You're you, and you're just as important, and your mental well-being and your self-care is really important. And you can't help others if you're not looking after yourself. That's the one key thing, I think.
I used to compare myself a lot with lots of social media influencers and YouTubers, and they used to show their self-care routines, and they'd be like so productive and like trying to improve themselves and be like getting loads of things done, tidying their houses, like, and just doing things constantly. And like for me it was like the complete opposite that I found, and it shows how personal self-care is. Like some people seem to want to like be really productive, get loads of things done, exercise, like tick off all their to-do list things. But for like others, including me, like I just want to like relax. I want to switch off for a bit, not think about what I need and have to do for a while, and not have any pressures. So I think it's very personal, and people definitely should not compare themselves to anyone. Like you can find great ideas of people and you can try them out and they may work for you, but don't just rely on those, and don't force yourself to do them if you don't feel like it's right.
Like, God, this is like a big eye opener. I think prior to lockdown, I didn't really know what self-care was, like properly, like the full sense of it. And like ever since like stopping work and everything, it's enabled me to do that a whole lot more. But for me, I found that seeing what other people were doing did help me to be able to do that with myself.
I'm a big comparer. It's something that I was trying, if I just find myself doing it, I have to kind of like talk to myself and say, no, you need to kind of think about something else. I think one of the main things that I found, especially during lockdown, that I find I've compared myself to in terms of self-care is a lot of people who are doing a lot of exercise and kind of saying it really improves your mental health. It takes you out of it and puts you in the zone. And I agree, like I think that is very true for a lot of people, but for some people it's not that. And when it's not that for you, I think you compare yourself to them and think, why can I not just have a normal relationship with it like everyone else does? That's why comparing is harmful, because not everything works for everyone. So if you're thinking, why isn't that working for me? You know, you might enjoy baking and that might not work for them, but it works for you, and that's what you should keep doing, rather than pushing yourself to try and enjoy something that other people are, when you know yourself that you don't really enjoy it. A massive thing when you look on social media and see all these people who are doing everything perfectly, but that's not their real life either. They're going to have bad days. They're probably struggling with things as well, and you just got to think, this is what works for me.
Tell us about what you do to relax.
It's nothing really exciting. I tend to watch a really familiar sitcom, so I love things like The Vicar of Dibley and The Royal Family, which are really probably old-fashioned. Some of you might not have ever seen them, but I absolutely love sitcoms. I love going to the theatre, which obviously we can't do at the moment. That's something that I can't wait to get back to.
I like to relax. I like going to watch the sunset. If you go to the racecourse in Chester, there's like this walk path that takes you from the racecourse towards the car park where the fair goes. There's some little steps that like lead up to the bridge, and if you sit on like the third step, you can see the sunset beautifully. So I like to sit there a lot and like just write all my thoughts down into my little book. I think I've got through about 6 notebooks in the past 4 months, just writing loads of stuff down.
Being with everything pretty much being closed in terms of mental health services, I know that therapists are doing calls and Zoom calls and all this, but if someone is experiencing a kind of relapse in their mental health, or if lockdown has kind of made it dip more because of the lack of structure, what do you think are some ways they can keep motivated to try and keep up a good mindset, and instead of falling into like a low mood, what do you think are some good ways to keep motivated and to, you know, pick yourself up and start working towards a better mindset again?
Yeah, I mean, obviously I can't speak in terms of what services are going to be available in terms of, you know, waiting lists and that kind of thing. Like I said, I'm employed by Cheshire West and Chester Council, so although we work with the Cheshire and Wirral Partnership, which is the mental health service, we don't have any input really into waiting lists and things like that. But in terms of what my role is now and what it has always been for the last sort of 6 years that I've worked for Ancora, is about having a purpose and trying to encourage the students that I work with to have a purpose. And you might hear the word occupation. And so as I'm a careers advisor by trade sort of thing, I worked for Connections, which was the careers service quite some years ago now. But because that's like my main sort of priority in a sense, it's about trying to keep the motivation and the purpose and having an occupation, which doesn't mean going out and getting a job. It just means, like what we've been talking about today, having something to do that you enjoy. So I'm a great believer in getting young people out there doing some volunteering if they're up to it. Once that allows us, you know, to get back involved in that, going out and doing things with charitable organisations like Storyhouse, like Chester Zoo, like anything like that. I think if you've got a purpose as a young person, and some people will need more support, so the students I work with, some will need more support than others, well, having a purpose and seeking support if you're struggling. And although there might be waiting lists and stuff for things like CAMS and the official mental health services, there are helplines to Mind, links to the CWP new helpline, which has been brought forward by a year. So you guys might not know about that, but there is a CWP mental health helpline that was brought forward because of coronavirus and the impact that will have on people. And that's an all-age service. And when you ring that in crisis, that you will speak to a professional. There's a medical professional, so not me. It'd be somebody that works in the clinical services. So they could talk through things that might be able to help and point you in the right direction. But I think the thing that I always kind of say, and I always stress that I'm not a clinical doctor or anything, but if you can reach out to anybody that's there that you trust, that's in a supportive manner, if they can't give you the answers, usually what they will do, they'll find somebody that can, and they'll support you to get that help. I think with mental health, whether it's in lockdown or prior, particularly for young people, one of the biggest barriers is not feeling that they can talk to somebody. And so the biggest message that I give to all students, and when I'm out and about, and students that I work with and students previously that I've worked with, is if you talk, it can make things better, getting it off your chest. Some people prefer to write that down or whatever, but clearing your mind and getting some help and talking to somebody is really, really important. And you should never ever feel that you're a failure because you've asked for help, because that actually is a big, massive sort of thumbs up, I think, for anybody that can put their hand up and sort of say, actually, I'm struggling a bit here. And we all go through it. So mental health affects absolutely everybody. And so, you know, we all just need to be mindful of that. And I think through organisations and through this piece of work that you guys are doing, I think it's absolutely great, because again, what it's doing is it's breaking down the stigma. It's allowing people to talk about mental health and how we might feel and stuff like that. So these sorts of projects where mental health is the topic of conversation are really, really important. So I think you've all done a great job putting this piece of work together.